Hello everyone, welcome back. We've been waiting, I fear it. It's been a short minute, but we saw the rest of the round one of the Swiss stage play out. Coming up next, we have drawn the Susquehanna Soniqs. They played their previous matchup against Team Envy. It went all the way to game 5. Team Envy took the last 2 games and advanced, but now the Soniqs are facing RBG and Hyperia. We were talking about it, we were going over some of the options to play. I think RBG faced a really good shot against the Soniqs. If they want to get a victory, this is the team to do it against.
Absolutely, and well, a reiteration once again, a win anywhere throughout the day means $1,000 extra. So against Soniqs, that is certainly possible, and I think the only better draw that we could have gotten is maybe Nefarious, who also are very solid and have been pretty solid. They were against NRG, so, I mean, also something that where you just expect a loss for Nefarious. But this is going to be an interesting matchup. It's going to be interesting to see how RBG mentally recover. I think that's the biggest part. Skill-wise, I'd say they're pretty much on the same level, but RBG are maybe a bit less versed at the highest level of play, thus their mental might be a bit more shaky.
Yeah, and on the flip side for the Soniqs, they took a really talented team in Team Envy all the way to game 5. So you know that even though they lost that series, they have to be feeling pretty good, because that's a very, strong result in its own right, as we are getting word that game number 1 is just underway here. The boys have wasted no time. They've been waiting patiently for a shot at redemption here. Here we go. RBG in the orange, the Soniqs in the blue. Hyperia, take us away.
Let's see what RBG can do with money. It's a good challenge. Tikaro gets off wrong-footed. Xpurt with the quick challenge, and RBG, they already seem like they are ready to play, like they're ready to go. They're moving on to the opposing side, but they need to keep their defense clear. Money does indeed do so. Sneaks a challenge underneath as Andy will try and keep this out of defense as well. It's a bit of a back and forth, but I'd say RBG are currently favored in this back and forth.
Yeah, in the first, opening salvo here of this series, and you're sort of just feeling it out, and it is going to be a very different feeling. FaZe Clan went for a very individual, very physical play style, obviously trying to enable first killer. I think the Soniqs are much more balanced in that regard, with Andy, ZPS, T. Carell. All 3 of those guys really know how to get involved. They, are a much more balanced roster, I would say, and I think that favors RBG as Stokelyy puts one on. The clear from ZPS is not the best. T. Carell had to get after that one, and Soniqs survive.
Ooh, RBG, they have to survive as well. Stokelyy was by his lonesome, and with 0 boost, that's always difficult. Xpurt, that's not the touch he was looking for. Way too heavy, and does send it into the hands of Andy, and he is able to grasp on that 50, clutch onto it, and manages to sneak it away out of the attack for RBG, and into defense they go. Only for a brief moment. There was Xpurt already attacking that left flank, wants to break through, but a big clear away from ZPS will send it into the hands of Money. Andy now from distance, that's not going to be a shot. Very simply cleared out to the side by Stokelyy, as well, there has been an internal error, and let's hope it's on the side of Soniqs.
Ooh, that's a good challenge there from Xpurt. He was working off the ceiling, and RBG through the first 2 minutes looked pretty good. They've had some decent chances, but neither team has found the back of the net. T. Carell is trying to work it out of his own corner. Dances by 1 challenge, but cannot get by 2. Stokelyy looking for the touch in the middle. Money's there. He's going for the double touch. GPS can't handle it, and the touch back down twice is no good. The post, the 4th man for the Soniqs, and RBG so unlucky to not score there.
That is ridiculous. Money taps it forward, looks for the second tap, but RBG, even in those instances, they are double committing a bit. That's something they need to be wary of. I want to praise them as much as possible, but I'm always one for spotting every single imperfection, and this could just be one of them. Stokelyy passing off to the side. It's not going to do any damage to them necessarily, but it also doesn't quite bring them as much as another line could have.
So here we go. Money's going to be looking for Xpurt, and that's a shot in. Xpurt lets it go. He elects to run interference effectively against the back line. I can't believe that was on target. I thought for sure it was the pass, but ZPS can't get there in time, and RBG with the lead.
And I've got either Stokelyy is incredible at keeping completely still when he's playing, or his cam is frozen, and I'm leaning towards the latter, as Andy, he's not sitting silent whatsoever. He tries to get an attack going, but gets the 9.
you could say, you know, we mentioned that Stokelyy has, you know, ice, you know, and he's so good in those overtimes, but he is literally frozen. And I'm pretty sure that's just his camera. I don't think his ice is that strong as Andy and T. Carell going for it. And T. Carell on that one, the individual play, it works out for the Soniqs. Follows up his own touch. Stokelyy could not quite get there.
So incredibly close, and that's an unfortunate one. The clear away just not quite coming through as we move into a tight game. But we do see this series, and it's so much closer than the previous one that we saw in the 50. Like, that might just float all in. It will land into the box, but Andy there for the clear away. Stokelyy pass that to the side as EPS looking for the follow-up. Lands underneath, but with only 20 boost. That's going to be a difficult one. 50 in the center as EPS tries to force it through as we enter the final 90 seconds. It's RBG in control of the play.
I think RBG have been doing a much better job of just moving the ball across all three players. They're, you know, starting to really work those transitions. They're getting the ball by the Soniqs, you know, and alleviating a lot of that offensive pressure. They couldn't do it against FaZe. They really struggled in that department, but this game has been much better in that sense. And, you know, tie ball game, 60 seconds to go. Goal here would be huge as Andy puts it into the corner. Xpurt challenge into the middle. Only going to allow the clearance. RBG hunting for that last goal. The challenge from ZPS is no good. Xpurt gets it by 1, can't get it by 2. T. Carell up early for that. But still, the ball remains in possession of the orange team. And Money is just going to go for the shot. It's wide. T. Carell working with the post gets it out of the way.
Money pops it down. Stokelyy with a pass off to the backward. Second tap found as well. Money is the one to force it through. 30 seconds left, and that's all that RBG have to hold on to.
Oh, and it's a moment of brilliance there. Money working off the ceiling, gets it down to Stokelyy, and Stokelyy with a tremendous touch there. That second one was on target, but Money so aware, just sticks with the play, makes sure that the save for Soniqs is not enough. Huge, huge goal there to come ahead at the end of game number 1. RBG just have to close it out now.
Well, that sounds a little easier than it might be as T-Troll forced it through. Stokelyy can't find the second tap here, but ZPS being bumped away from the play. Money doesn't find that second tap as T-Troll goes down the line. Where's the challenge? He needs to be challenged, otherwise a flick like that could be dangerous. Let's clear away this time. Xpurt stays close to it. Got the boost steal. T-Troll, that's going the wrong way entirely, and that might just be the end of the game. All they need to do is drop it to the ground now. Andy pops it into the corner. T-Troll extends. Andy tries to follow it as well, and RBG with a quick challenge. They do take home game number 1.
Woo! Everybody can take a deep sigh of relief there as RBG take game number 1. And we talked about a shaky first series, but that was so much better here in the first game against the Soniqs. Money with the 2 goals is the difference maker for the red, black, and gold. And ooh, I feel so much better. I hope the players feel that energy as well, because they looked much more solid. I think their defense was a lot stronger. Their passing was much better. They had that awareness to get that goal. And woo, okay, in the driver's seat.
Woo is exactly what you need to be saying in this moment. Woo, shake everything off of the previous game and get into this next one, or of the previous series, and now move into the second game here as well, as they have got the confidence to take down that first game. Let's see whether they are able to extend, because Soniqs, they're a well-versed team. They've been around the block, and they know that this series is not over by any stretch of the imagination.
Not at all. Still a long way to go, but definitely feeling strong after game number 1, as RPG going to be looking to move it through the midfield. Andy, though, solid challenge, gets that one out. Xpurt does a good job to stay behind the ball. Stokely's gonna have a free touch. Let's see what he does. Pass off the wall. He's looking for Xpurt in the corner, but again, the Soniqs defense tested early in game 2, but it's been holding strong thus far. T. Carell has to get up, and after that one, Money uses all of his boost to keep the pressure alive, but nobody from RBG still up, and that's the transition out for the Soniqs.
Ooh, good clear out of Stokelyy. Pass that off to the side of T. Carell. He's still hunting. He still wants that goal. He thinks it's righteously his. Xpurt very much has a different opinion about that and does clear it away. Money now into the box. He gets past 1. Can he get past the third as well? And T. Carell, third man, and back and right there. Stokelyy into the center. Goes for the shot himself. The angle is sniped. CPS. What a clear away. Money still keeping up the pressure, putting the screws through the Soniqs defense, but they manage to stay composed.
Wow, and I love that shot selection from Stokelyy there. The last time he had a look like that, he ended up passing it off to Money, which resulted in the goal. So he gives the defense a different look there, goes for it himself, and it forced a tremendous save, really, out of ZPS. He just barely rotated back in time, but now RBG really on the front foot, generating that offensive pressure as Stokelyy takes it high, gets a touch by T-Krell, but he still recovers to get that out. That is some defensive clearance from T-Krell, my goodness.
Well, they're being incredibly quick on the side of RBG, and that's given them more loose rotations, which thus far have been working out, but they need to stay composed. Their third man needs to stay far enough back so they don't actually concede a counterattack as the passing field doesn't quite find Xpurt. And Andy stays in the way. Money off the backboard, gets it a little bit further. T-Krell waits patiently for that play to unfold. The ZPS catch in the midfield. Money needs to stay close. ZPS tries to fake it out, but Xpurt got back in time. This is exactly what I mean. The speed out of Xpurt is exactly what got them that play. But now Andy with another opportunity. Stokelyy can't reach, and then Sonic score first.
Yeah, and it was just really well worked by the Soniqs here. The challenge out of T-Krell in the corner puts effectively a perfect ball in for Andy. It's right in the perfect spot where RBG can't really challenge in time. They have to just wait for the shot, and that's never a good place to be as Andy slots that one into the bottom corner for the lead for the Soniqs. This has been an airtight game too. I feel like we could get more goals for both teams as Stokelyy picks it up in the midfield. Not the best touch though. ZPS is going to be there going for the double, nearly had the read, can't quite get it, but now Money on the transition may actually beat everyone. ZPS had to rotate back. That's a couple of times now where ZPS has made a hero save, and that's what's keeping the Soniqs in it for the moment.
Seems to be the case, and Soniqs, they were still up by one. T-Krell goes high with this shot, but can't quite snipe the angle. That's the back down. Stokelyy out to the right flank. Tries to put the Soniqs under pressure. To the backboard it goes. Oh, Stokelyy dives underneath. The ZPS has a bit of time on the backboard, clears it away. Money needs to be patient, is indeed patient, as his third man has a time to breathe and grab some boost. And Money also gets back for this save.
Very, very close chance there for RBG. It was Stokelyy who was careening towards that goal line, tried to get the read on that ball, bouncing dangerously there, but not quite finding the goal. Still, though, this has been very close. Both sides have had really good looks, and Money there tried to take the touch but couldn't get it done on his own, and RBG are hunting for that goal. Down by one with just over a minute to play. It's going to be now or never pretty soon. ZPS, big clearance. Possession being traded back and forth in the midfield. Not the best touch from Money, but it's going to allow the possession for RBG. Here goes Xpurt to Money with a shot on target, and nobody's in net. Susquehanna Soniqs concede the equalizer, and it's a 1-2-3 straight down the midfield for RBG.
What a conversion as well, right into the attack, and no waste of time whatsoever. RBG, they, with 1 minute left, equalize in this game, an important one. As Andy tries to do the same, is on the same wall where there was just a goal generated from T-Krell. Might just be able to get the angle. We'll get a second tap, but that's all gonna be that for at least a little part of the attack for Sonic. But they try and further it, make it a two-step plan as Xpurt tries to mitigate that damage. Andy up to the skies. Money still in the backward, great positioning, tries to take control, but Andy still got a touch. Money still stronger in that exchange as it still lands into the center. T-Krell pops it up, double commit, but oh my word, T-Krell, that's just a good play.
Really strong individual effort from T-Krell here. You could see Xpurt gets the clearance, but T-Krell was just lurking in wait, and he's the kind of player that can convert on that opportunity when given the chance. He has those individual mechanics, and now RBG really puts to the test. Oh, off the kickoff, it might be just Money here. It's a great save from ZPS. Oh, that was a wonderful setup for the equalizer. It just had to be, but who else? ZPS in this game has made so many good saves to keep the Soniqs ahead. Came up with a huge one right there, and that should just about do it. T-Krell, with 4 seconds left, puts this one to bed.
That is an unfortunate one. This matchup was tantalizingly close, up until that final moment where Soniqs did convert and put themselves ahead. And at that point, RBG are kind of forced. Their hand has to be shown, and they have to show every single possibility, have to hunt for a goal, and then you concede another one. Very, very similar scenario happens in Rocket League very often. You're just putting yourself out there, and that's exactly what you have to do. So RBG, they played the correct line, but they're just not quite able to make this work as Soniqs pull it level.
Yeah, and you have to feel a little hard done by if you're RBG there, because I think they had a couple of great shots that just barely got saved. You know, ZPS a couple of times there, just as last man come up with the hero save, you know, keep the Soniqs just barely ahead. And you know, I think if they stick with it for RBG, I think they're doing fine. I think they're doing more than fine. Even, you know, level series 1-1, they've been generating really good chances. If they continue to do that, I think more of them will end up in the back of the net.
Absolutely. I think if you pull a general line, Soniqs have been better on defense, but RBG's attack is incredibly close to just making Soniqs succumb to the pressure, and when that happens, it could start falling apart brick by brick. But we're gonna have to see. Game number 3 is on the way, and the winner of this will get onto match point, a massively important match, and TKRL is the first one to get a play going. Stokelyy shuts that down at its roots, though.
A couple of great challenges from Stokelyy there. He's really been, you know, the rock for RBG in certain spots. He's come up with some critical goals, and always just a player that seems to be in the right spot at the right time is CPS. Talk about his defensive prowess. Nearly found a goal of his own there. Money through the midfield. It's going to be one-on-one with TKRL. He gets the flick, and it's almost the own goal from TKRL. It's still there. Stokelyy can't find the touch either. Pressure now for RBG, and that's exactly what we're talking about. The pressure is there, but the goals are just not.
That was incredibly close, and an RBG, they do move through in the end with 1 minute played. This was looming, though. Soniqs, their defense, I gave it credit. I said it was better than ours. It's not anymore.
Yeah, and they were under so much pressure. You finally get the bounce to go your way. You know, the challenge off the wall there puts it right into the top corner. You know, call it lucky if you want, but it's the right idea from RBG. They've been applying the pressure. They get a deserved goal, I would say, early on in this one. Stokelyy, but the touch and the reset off the ceiling cannot follow it up. Going to be casually waiting around there, but RBG, I think, still applying a lot of the pressure. They really are trying to put the Soniqs to the test. They have to be careful, though, because this is where it gets dangerous. Andy on the transition is going to be one-on-one with Money. Big stop.
TKRL to the ceiling now. Let's see whether he can get stopped as well. Indeed does. He gets out to the side. RBG trying to hold on to defense, but Soniqs, they're coming knocking, and they're not just giving it a light tap. They're trying to get a battering ram into the front door of RBG, but it seems that RBG's door is well reinforced, and they're not letting them break through whatsoever. The counter attack even instigated as it goes down the line. I think it was Stokelyy who was up to the play. ZPS to the backboard. Good clear away as RBG. They need to try and follow this. They're not quite breaking out of defense to its fullest. And Stokelyy once again out to the side. TKRL takes control to the skies. Aerial play set up, and he's been incredibly converting with those, and this time gets close, but that will be all.
Very, very close from TKRL. He's had a couple of really good looks in this series. He's scored some great individual goals and almost got another one there, but defense from RBG holding on. We're halfway through. You have to say that they've been playing really well, but it's only a 1-goal lead. You certainly want an insurance goal, as Andy doesn't get the best touch. Good challenge from ZPS, though. He's going to give Soniqs a moment of reprieve. Here we go. Stokelyy, the big clearance out. It's Andy who makes the touch up above the backboard, but Stokeley's there once more, looking for Money in the middle. He's going to get the touch up high. ZPS's clearance, not the best still. Soniqs allowing RBG to generate that pressure. And finally, the touch from Andy works through the midfield, and it's been very tense, I fear. You know, it's been very back and forth. You know, both teams have had decent looks, but I'm getting the impression that RBG's offensive pressure is just a little bit better.
Because Soniqs, they weren't able to break through when they had such a phenomenal offense together. And the RBG, they are able to hold on into the defensive end. There's still 90 seconds remaining, so we can't quite get complacent just yet, and we can't quite starting to think of this as a win, because a clear like that, it's a bit awkward, and it will open up avenues for Soniqs to try and move through, to try and pick the defense of RBG apart. TKRL and off the ceiling still has a flip to boot, but it's Chumpy Xpurt in the way, and oh, that is a hurtful one.
Yeah, and it's tough because TKRL gets so much time here. Money goes low, and it's so awkward for Xpurt because he's defending the flip reset there, right? You know, he recognizes that TKRL still has the opportunity to go high with it, so he's up on the backboard. He ends up putting it low, though, and it's just such a awkward spot to be in. You know, we saw it from his player cam. Up against the post, it's not really an easy touch, and it allows a goal to go through for Soniqs. That's a double commit on defense. Here we go. RBG need to capitalize here, but Andy, ever aware, gets the clearance, and it's the passing play. Still well defended.
There's a bit of panic instilled in the RBG defense right now. They're double committing. The clearaways are not necessarily the smoothest, as Xpurt fails to recover on the ceiling. TKRL tries to spike it down, but Xpurt might have failed to recover, but he will still be in time. Money tries to pinch it off the ceiling, get it to the other side, into the hands of Xpurt, but Xpurt misses the play altogether, and that surely should have been an opportunity converted, as it still lands into the edge of the box. Xpurt with a 50, but it's TKRL to swipe it out to the side. Money challenged that directly, put it back into the box, and a lot of misses coming through right here.
I think both teams are a little bit nervous here. High Fury, you know the stakes. You don't want to be 0-2 in this Swiss bracket. It's just so difficult to advance out of that spot. So I think both teams really want the win here. This is a critical game in the series. I think the nerves are starting to get there. His Xpurt had the double touch lined up, but Andy makes a save. RBG may get one last look at it here. The touch from ZPS not convincing. Andy puts it on the floor, and to overtime we go.
Of course, Andy puts it to the floor. You don't want to try and start a attack all the way from your own defense. Usually it's just going to go the wrong way, but ZPS got the better of that boost, so it's all up to Stokelyy right now. Money has to clear it away, but with low boost, he's going to try and struggle to get some in the tank. ZPS downwards also has a struggle for boost, as everybody, that is the perpetual cycle when Rocket League's Andy pops it up high. Let's see whether he can follow it up. Xpurt challenges from behind. That makes it work this time, but those are the challenges that your teammates don't necessarily expect.
Yeah, and it's really tough. You have to make sure the comms are really strong when you're going for plays like that. As Money gonna try and set it up. There was a shot by Stokelyy, saved by ZPS. Team plays looking really solid for RBG, though. It's a great chance to have an overtime. They maintain the possession. Stokelyy with the touchdown field, looking for Money, who does get it by one. He can't continue his own campaign of offense. Still, though, the Soniqs are low on boost. They're not getting the clearances that they perhaps want. Andy finally puts that one out. A little bit of a breather for Susquehanna, but RBG are knocking at the door, and that was just gonna drop down. Xpurt, just like that, gets it done. RBG take game 3.
Well, that's how Rocket League goes. You miss one ball, and especially in a scenario like that, TKRL has been playing incredibly strong, but that will all be mitigated purely because he made one mistake, and that is what people will remember. It's this that sent RBG towards match points, so they're not quite there yet, but they are moving across the pitch elegantly and are really making space for their own teammates. While there are a few double commits, they're able to recover it with quick mechanics, and that's something they need to keep on going. As Soniqs, they try and move on through, but just struggling here.
Yeah, and it's really, really tough, I think, for the Soniqs, because they really thought I think they really played well that game, Susquehanna, but just a couple of missed opportunities and a little bit of a defensive struggle as well. As we take a look in, Stokelyy and Xpurt, the cuties, on match point here. They'll have 2 cracks at it, so they got to be feeling good. We're hype. Make sure we get hype in the chat as well for the boys of the red, black, and gold. We're headed into game number 4. A victory here would be monumental. Let's see if they can get it done.
Absolutely. Xpurt muscles it through and almost tries to move it through with pure pace as well. He's got both And now a shot coming through for money, but it will be Andy cleared it out to the side. Andy looking for the follow-up as well into the counter. Xpurt attempted demo, challenged it again, and Xpurt just monkeying the ball right now, not leaving it alone for a second. Nuisance play coming through, but it's still Sonic to come away with possession. Andy to the center. Xpurt once again there, who's been out in pretty much every single play, but this time it's Stokelyy to try and show what he's got in the bag. Gets it to the center, or at least forces it through the center. Xpurt around the side of one and tries to show some dribbling prowess, but will be denied by Andy.
Ooh, and again, it's just a lot of pressure from RBG early on. They've got a couple of good touches going together, and they are on the hunt, on the prowl. You definitely tell they're feeling the confidence as Andy didn't have boost there, struggling to get it out. It's Xpurt now out of the corner, trying to work the challenge through. Money looking for a follow-up on his own touch. He does get the double, but it's not quite enough. Stokelyy, the threatening presence, and that's been the key for RBG's offense, really, is they've been able to put some really good touches together back-to-back, force the Sonics to be under the pressure, under the spotlight, and they found the cracks in the defense. So they continue this, through the first 90 seconds, they looked really strong. They will get their goal over time.
Let's see whether they can indeed. Because Rocket League is a volatile game. You might look like the favorite the entire game, but we saw in the last game one tiny miss on the backboard. And not to say that Sonic was playing better that game, but one tiny miss will send your team into a downward spiral. But the Xpurt, he's spiraling around the ball right now, trying to get it into the attack. It looks cool, but it won't quite get him in the entire way as ZPS on the clear away. Money steps up to the plate, into the sky as he goes once again, looks for the flip reset, gets it over, whips it over to T-Corel. It's Andy to take over it on the side. Stokelyy gets the demo on Andy. T-Corel still, how did T-Corel get there?
He's a really good player. That's the short answer to that question. T-Corel is just always finding those touches, always looking for the next player, as it's ZPS on the board for the Sonics here. Is Andy that time putting the ball across, and ZPS in such a threatening spot there. It's a tremendous touch out, and it's a well-worked goal by the Sonics.
Absolutely, it was a well-worked goal indeed. As let's just see what they can do more on the side of RBG to get this comeback to facilitate it. ZPS, that's a boomer up high. Xpurt gets a touch, and Money clears it away, but that's another shot coming through, and Money doesn't quite get it. Xpurt will be into T-Corel. T-Corel, let's see what he can do with this. Gets it all the way across, but Money with a quick challenge, and then tries to get the landing on Andy as well. Doesn't quite get it.
And the double commits have been a bit unfortunate for RBG in certain spots. We saw it in the midfield there, two players really using a lot of boost to go for the same ball, and it kills so much of your pressure when you do that. I think they know that they really have to push for an equalizing goal here, but that's a tough spot to be in as Andy works out of the corner. He takes his own touch, and Xpurt was being bumped in the goal. He somehow recovers. We couldn't see him in the net. He was back there somewhere, and he gets that save.
T-Corel, that's an awkward play, and still 100 boost in the tank, being in an awkward spot. That's going to cost your team a bit of nerves and damage as Andy 50 jets. Stokelyy manages to muscle it on through. ZPS should get a touch, indeed will. 90 seconds of what remain. Money tries to force it underneath, and Money, he does pull it through solo and ties it back up.
Oh, and this isn't the best touch from ZPS, but how about that follow-up from Money? Goes for the touch, and I love the decision to go low. He puts that ball high on the ceiling, and he starts to move his momentum back down towards the crossbar. So important there. It's so difficult to stop defensively. Money with a great individual effort, and that's the medicine that RBG needed in this game. That's a really nice goal.
Stokelyy up high. T-Corel swipes it away. Good demo out of Andy to clear up some space. Xpurt still lurking close, and that's something you can always expect out of Xpurt. And Andy going down the other end. Stokelyy gets a touch, but that is Money and Xpurt trying to go for the same play. I mean, try and follow Andy for a bit more, or Xpurt rather. This ball gets popped up. Money with a quick challenge out to the side, lands on it. Good flick to send it into Xpurt. Xpurt tries to move it through, but it's ZPS standing tall on defense. They're not done just yet, though. Stokelyy tries to rip another, but gets denied.
Ooh, pressure building for RBG, and Sonics finally clear that one out. Again, the touches from RBG have been really good. They're so close to getting that extra goal. As Xpurt moves it into the corner, and a bit of a team bump there from the Soniqs might cause some problems. ZPS, though, really strong recovery there. Manages to get it out and buy his team the space necessary to recover. With 15 seconds left to play, a goal here for either side would be devastating, as Andy, again, awkward, doesn't really have a handle on it. Xpurt's there, and he's predicting T. Corell, who just has to slowly work that one across the net. Dangerous idea, but it works well enough. And for the second time this series, overtime.
One goal is all that separates RBG and $1,000 richer as Stokelyy tries to go underneath. And otherwise, they do have another game in the back. Stokelyy tries to turn in money with a good challenge, sends it wide. It's EPS up high, but there will be nobody there from Soniqs to try and take control. Money 50 with ZPS out wide. Stokelyy stays in the midfield. Stokelyy with a quick challenge. Gives a bit of reading room towards Andy. Doesn't necessarily need to challenge. Xpurt flying in on through as well. Quickly, Money challenging 50 with Stokelyy. Into the box it goes. Andy with a big boomer across the top. Stokelyy will go on the backward to try and boom that right back into the sender. ZPS got a touch and send it into the corner to mitigate any damage.
And the Soniqs have had a couple of really good clearances there. You just get so much time and space when you can send that ball all the way back out, and that's a big demo from Andy as well. So here we go, the Soniqs on transition, trying to get something done, but ZPS had no boost, can only really take the challenge there, as Money is going to set up possession for Xpurt. Works it into the corner. T. Corell, though, gets it by one. Stokelyy very patiently sits behind that, takes possession, but only for a moment. Here comes Money. Has to get a big clearance. He does. Going for the double touch, not quite, but it forces a bit of hesitation out of the Soniqs. That very tense overtime continues. About 90 seconds have been played. Neither team has really had a great chance at it thus far, but here comes Stokelyy into the middle. Xpurt one-on-one with T. Corell. He goes high, but he gets the demo. T. Corell, though, just doing enough. Money with the flip reset, no good, and the Soniqs hang on.
Soniqs manages to hang on, but now will actually move into the attack. Money is able to take control, and this is once again the speed from RBG coming through. They managed to recover quickly, but can they recover from this? Xpurt went up for the ball, has not got a lot of faith in Money right there, who was on the back. We're waiting, and he tries to move across the side, but Xpurt with a good bump. Money, that's a bit awkward, has to try and bail himself out. It's actually Stokelyy who does the job for him. Great job out of Stokelyy as it doesn't get sent into the corner. T. Corell, 0 boost. Xpurt easily clears it away, pushes it wide. 50 with ZPS and wins that. And that's Stokelyy once again comes in for the challenge. It will be popped up. 50 Xpurt, ZPS up high. Money has to get a touch here, misses it, so Stokelyy has to bail his team out yet again. But they do manage to hold on.
Yeah, and we talk about Stokelyy being the anchor. You know, having that ice for RBG has been made a couple of really good defensive touches here, as the Soniqs have built up the pressure. C1 there, just, you know, moving that ball out, trying to get it done. It's actually going to be a transition to offense. Double commit from Soniqs up high, and Andy has to make the aggressive rotation across. So both teams are really starting to feel it now. You can smell the goal coming with 3 minutes played, though. We're still all tied up, level in the overtime. Oh goodness, it's going to be a banger one way or the other.
Yeah, well, RBG, they already set a record in the first series. Let's see whether we can get an overtime in this second series, or an overtime record rather. There's Andy. He tries to get it past. It will still be a very long while before we get there as Andy. And that's an open net for only a brief moment. Stokelyy is only got the 33 spawning boost. Has to make it work, being incredibly efficient. T. Corell sitting far back. Andy with the turn in. Gets it on the backboard. An absolute ripper. And Stokelyy, he's shown up in this overtime. Absolutely exquisite play out of him once again. And then goes into a wrestling match as... Ooh, there was a pause.
Yeah, technical pause here. And I'm not sure what happened, and you can see Xpurt on the cam taking a step out, so we'll have to get word on that, because I'm not totally sure what happened. So we'll be waiting. You know, we'll get it figured out either way, as 3.5 minutes of overtime have gone. Goodness me.
At this moment, a pause. I have no clue what is going on. And I hope Xpurt gets back before they unpause it. And indeed, the ref did pause it. So, well, you can't say a lot about this, but realistically, Soniqs were going to have that defense on lock. They were already getting back, and the competitive integrity is more important than this attack that we see in the bottom right. TKRL was completely shaped up for that 50 with Stokelyy.
Yeah, and this kind of thing will happen on occasion. You know, it's just the nature of playing online games. You know, you have connection issues, disconnects, what have you. So I'm sure they'll get it figured out, but definitely tough because I think RBG was starting to build the momentum there, you know, and starting to really push for that overtime winner. So it'll be interesting to see how they reset it. I'm sure it'll just be a kickoff, you know, with the overtime reset, but woo, it's a very nerve-wracking thing because you know that it's just the one goal to get the victory in the series, right? And now you have to, you know, step out of the game and take a deep breather. So, ooh.
Yeah, this does up the nerves, and I'll be very honest, I think that favors Soniqs, and they have a moment to calm down. They have a moment to talk it through with each other, whereas RBG, they are phenomenal players, but this is always that testing moment. Are you able to pull through in such a clutch scenario, and are you able to keep your nerves under control? They have been able to thus far and actually get up to match point. They just need one more goal. I just kind of want to know what's going on. I assume there's a technical issue somewhere on the on either side. Really, it just seems as if all RBG players were fine, but hey, seemingly everything can be fine. Obviously, something was wrong.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We just don't really know yet. So we'll keep you updated. But for now, it's a bit of a break. Bit of a moment of reprieve for both sides, really, and I do agree with your assessment there. I think it does ultimately favor the Soniqs, which is kind of unfortunate because it gives them a better chance to reset, and I do feel that RBG had a bit more momentum as that play was building up there, so we'll see.
Okay, so it was an Xpurt disconnect. It was on our side. He must have been AFK, so let's hope he gets back into the match, and that's maybe why he stepped out. Go for a big breather. Walking around the room is honestly one of the greatest ways to try and calm yourself down. But before we get back into the series, I want to ask you real quick. You've been watching RBG for a long amount of time. What would you say is their weakest point?
Ooh, the weakest point, in my humble professional opinion, I think the double commits at some times really get to them. There are moments where, on both ends of the pitch, really, you know, they have opportunities to make plays, but because two players go for it, it can, you know, really take the air out. And I think part of that is, you know, this is a relatively new roster, and here we go. We're gonna get reset, so it's gonna go off the kickoff here. It's just overtime play continue, and we're just straight back into it. Stokelyy off the kickoff was looking for the chance, and no time to think about it, right? Here we go.
Absolutely no time whatsoever, no easing into it, just directly all blasters, all thrusters at full speed going ahead as this will land into the corner. Stokelyy, can he snipe that angle? No, but Xpurt's there off the post. Money still in the vicinity. Xpurt and Stokelyy double committed some money nicely, is sneaking up on the through to make sure that the third man can't get back. Stokelyy, that's way too high, but it was a good opportunity. Demo in the net as well by Stokelyy. Xpurt still keeping with the play, and there's absolutely no moment to breathe in this series.
Oh, and I love how strong RBG have looked coming out of the break there. It's such a tough spot to be, but from the kickoff, really at 3:30, they have just been unrelenting with the pressure. They're putting it to the Soniqs, and Stokelyy off the crossbar could have ended it. Oh, goodness. Our observer is feeling it as well. Just put it in. So close. Oh, my goodness.
Oh my word, but here then, Xpurt to the backboard, that can commit from Stokelyy has been incredibly clutch, and it will come through. $1,000 extra after almost 5 minutes of overtime, and you see the relief on the side of RBG.
Oh, and it took that. It was coming. It was coming. They had so much pressure building out of the reset there in overtime, and it was Xpurt going for that initial shot, doesn't quite get it. He puts it up high, but then he chases the defender. So important. It just gives Stokelyy a chance. All he has to do really is put it on target. Wasn't the most convincing shot I've ever seen, but it's the ice. It's the ice from Stokelyy that gets it done. Just a soft little touch in there. And oh goodness, RBG, they take the series, and they have to be feeling so good. That's such an important victory for, you know, everyone on the team, and just getting getting it done after the reset. You know, you have that moment where, you know, you just got to reset and get it done. And boy, they did. Boy, they did.
Absolutely. This is such a great moment in another regard as well, since RBG, they come in here as 16 seed. And a lot of people will then be looking at it, oh, it's just a fluke. They got here with lucky series. They just popped off on the day. No, this was not a fluke. They were able to show up on this day as well, perform to the best of their ability, and they are here to try and stay, as this is only the start. They need 2 more, but they are now on a 1-1 record. And RBG, I absolutely love seeing them play, because once they do get everything connecting, they are so rapid.
Yes, and they have a lot of faith and trust in one another. You know, I think they do an excellent job of just moving the ball around and really working it through the offense. I think they play their best when they maintain that high level of pressure. We saw it so many times against the Soniqs there. They can suffocate a team out, and then eventually the goal gets there. So, woo, we're alive, folks. We're doing well. We're doing well. And, you know, we're going to be waiting for a brief moment. I think we're still waiting on a couple of series to finish up here. It looks like version 1 and Nefarious are still locked 2-2. X-Set True Neutral 2-2 as well. So we're going to be taking a very brief intermission. But coming up next, we will be playing in that middle bracket of the Swiss stage. We'll find out in just a moment who our opponent will be. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.